Hi everyone, my name is Melissa Cancio and I am the Executive Director for Chamber South. We are here today on our show, Chamber South Spotlight, with Andre Luck. He is part of the Marlins team, so he can kind of tell you a little bit more about what that entails. And he is also one of our board members for Chamber South. So we're so excited to have you, Andre.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is great.
How's been? So we'll start a little bit getting to know about you
Yep.
and making sure that we kind of intertwine the connection between the Miami Marlins as well.
Okay.
So just tell me a little bit more about your family. I know you're not originally from Miami,
Yeah.
but you kind of life took you here a little bit in terms of that. So I kind of want to hear about your journey.
Yeah, happy to share. So I was a military brat growing up. So I was born in Mississippi, but my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved a bunch. Mississippi, Washington State, lived in Japan for 3 years, was in Florida when I was younger in the Panhandle, moved to Arizona, and that's where I grew up. So from middle school all the way, 5 years post-college, I grew up right outside of Phoenix, so that's home. I went to school at Arizona State, so got my business management degree there. Yeah, the Sun Devils, Pitchfork, go Devils. My daughter, she's on the Blue Devils T-ball team, so we're trying to get them to get that going too. But so I grew up there, went to school at Arizona State, wanted to get into sports. I actually really just wanted to get into business. I mean, you get your business degree and you think you're just gonna work in business one day, right? And I got an opportunity in my last semester of college getting to work in the athletic department, selling season tickets for men's basketball and football. I didn't know that was a career. I was like, that sounds really cool. I get to be around the athletic department. I'm very passionate about Arizona State. I grew up a big Sun Devils fan. So that was cool getting to see like behind the scenes and like what the business of sports looks like. And my first introduction and like, oh, there's like careers and like a full unit outside of what you see when you go to a game and the players and like all the stuff happening in the arena and the venues. And from there, I got the opportunity to work for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So my passion was always baseball. I always wanted to work in baseball, didn't know how it would come about. And the program we had set up there, students could make calls at night around their schedule. And our boss would introduce us to teams that were looking to hire a full-time position. So he knew someone that was leaving the Phoenix Suns to go to the Arizona Diamondbacks and really start up and build out a proactive sales team there to increase their ticket sales. So I got hired in what a lot of people in sports call inside sales. So it's entry level, first job right out of sport or right out of college. You're just learning the basics of ticket sales. And I spent 5 years with the Diamondbacks. That's where, if I don't share this, my wife will kill me. My last year there with the Diamondbacks, my wife moved to Arizona. So she grew up in South Florida, which eventually I'll get to how we're here. She grew up in South Florida, went to school at Florida State, and got a job with the Arizona Diamondbacks. We met there, started dating. A brief period, I went to go back work at Arizona State for about 6-7 months. And my mentor from the Diamondbacks had actually got an opportunity to run the ticket sales team with the Houston Astros. So that opportunity to leave Phoenix, go work for the Astros. My wife, she quit her job. Well, at the time we were just dating. Became a teacher out in Houston. Yeah, big risk. And it's funny, like because we have 3 daughters now, and at the time we thought we knew what we were doing. Like our parents are crazy. Why would they think that we don't know what we're doing? And we're like, if our daughters ever tried that, like there's no way that's ever happening. So we moved from Phoenix, moved to Houston. Great opportunity there. I spent 7 seasons with the Houston Astros. On the personal side, we got married. We had our first 2 daughters there. And then on the business side, like we saw a ton of success. We were the worst team in baseball when I got there and won a World Series there and then made it to another World Series. So a lot of cool things I got to see from that growth from the business standpoint on the baseball side, which really helped kind of prepare me for this opportunity to oversee the ticket sales team here with the Marlins. So when we were in Houston, just knowing her family's from South Florida, she grew up in Palm City, which is just north of Jupiter, a little bit north of West Palm Beach. So about an hour and a half from where we live here in Miami. We always knew, all right, to get a job in sports in South Florida would be ideal. And for me, being in baseball, I'm like, wow, the Marlins would be a dream. And the opportunity came about. I was like, oh, wow, now I got to get the job. So we moved here January 2020. So I've been here a little over 4 years. It's going to my 5th season. We had our 3rd daughter January 2021, and everything's been great. So that's what brought me here to Miami, brought me here to South Florida, and kind of my journey.
That's amazing. Yeah. Do your daughters ever say that you were born in Houston and you were born in Florida?
No, I think they forget actually that they were born in Texas. When we first moved here, my daughter had her best friend was like our next door neighbor. And she was like 3 or 4 when we moved here. And it's really funny because we're like, oh, we live in Miami now. And she said, I don't like your Miami. Like I never got like, how do I explain? Like, it's not Miami. Like that's the name of the city. But they love it here. And then obviously, yeah, the baby, she's born here in Miami. So she's.
Yeah. So that's so neat. Mm-hmm. But that I feel like you did so much to get to that point and like being able to work around the different areas and even meeting your forever person. Like, yeah. I think that's so important going into it that you have those same values and you carry even the same love for sports.
Yeah.
I feel like having those conversations when you get to just actually be elaborate in sports versus I like baseball.
Yep.
There's more substance to that. So I feel like that really gets you places getting to, and then now Miami or Florida that she's moved you to. Mm-hmm. What kind of inspired you to continue going into that baseball path? Is there a sport that you would have ever seen yourself in if it weren't for baseball? How did that kind of happen for you?
Yeah, I didn't see myself in anything outside of it, but obviously the sports industry, it's a very small industry when you start to really break it down. There's 4 major leagues and then there's some others in addition to that. So there's actually not that many opportunities. So it becomes really small. And like a lot of people do move from basketball to football to baseball to Major League Soccer because the concepts and the principles are pretty much the same. It's just you're selling a different product, a different sport. Right. So a lot of people do switch over. But for me, it was always about baseball. I grew up playing baseball. I watch MLB Network all day. I'd be watching it anyways. But to your point, you can't just be a fan of the game. Like there has to be the business aspect to it. So some people, on our sales team, they do really well or just do well in business because, they think strategically and they're innovative and they probably don't care about baseball too much. But I think there has to be that passion because baseball specifically, there's 81 home games, there's external events too. So you're at the ballpark all the time and you don't have a love or passion for the sport and specifically baseball, that could probably wear on you. But for me, there hasn't been a time, this is going into my 17th season now, where it's just, all right, here we go again. Here's another season coming up. So I'm excited.
I love that you shared the stats. 81 home games. You've done 17 seasons.
I've done it a few times, right?
For a few years. So is there somewhere in between that you would give advice to someone going into that field or even going into, like, I know ticket sales is such a broad aspect. It could be marketed as sales or marketing or kind of just the whole figure. Is there something that you would want to say to someone going into that field?
Yeah. There's a few things I just think through, like my younger self, but like specifically to someone working to get into sports, everyone's in ticket sales and everyone's a marketer. So whatever your title is, like at the end of the day, we're trying to get more people to come to our games and market our brand out in the community. So whatever your role is, understand how, we make money as a business, understand how we sell tickets and what you can do to help do that. So it could be you're directly on the phones, calling people, calling businesses and like actually transacting the sale. Or maybe you're in a marketing role and you're trying to attract people to learn more about the team or like promote a special offer we're trying to do or opening days coming up. Like that's our big push right now and trying to create awareness around that or in communications, whatever it is. Like there's everyone at the end of the day, the job is to increase our revenue, increase our ticket sales, grow our attendance, and just build more fan affinity for the Marlins.
A lot of community in the Marlins.
Yeah.
I know Caroline is a huge proponent on that, but we'll get to that. So in that aspect, you've basically done what your future self is proud of you for. And so how do you, in terms of shifting to the next aspect, in you being a mentor, you've done leadership in so many different organizations. How do you get involved with other organizations that aren't just Miami Marlins to obviously help your success in being a mentee or being a mentor?
Yeah. Well, I think the more you put yourself out there to meet people, those opportunities kind of present themselves. And some, that's not something that they're passionate about, and that's fine. Like for me, the bigger purpose was always making an impact and giving back. I was blessed to have great leaders and mentors throughout my career who were very intentional about that, and we aligned on those values. So any opportunity I have, whether someone reaches out to me on LinkedIn, like, hey, I'm trying to get a start in sports, like I'll find 15 minutes to at least have a quick conversation. And I remember how difficult it was to just kind of break in. You like don't know where to start. So I want to help out wherever I can. But along with, some different chambers, and obviously with Chamber South being involved there, what I'm passionate about that we're starting up is it's called Black Sports Professionals. So there's different chapters across the nation, and there's one we're building here in South Florida, and I'm on the executive board there. I'm our membership chair, and our first kickoff event here is coming up next week. And really the focus is, helping provide opportunities and education and networking with the Black sports professionals here in South Florida. And for me, that's something I'm very passionate about. There's not many Black executives in sports. I think across Major League Baseball, I'm the only Black vice president of ticket sales, which those numbers need to change. So I think it starts from an awareness standpoint, making sure that people know of the opportunities that there are, and if there's exposure that we can create for people, whether it's coming up in their career, and even if it's just like, all right, I see he's in a role like that, because there were definitely times as I was coming up throughout my career, I'm like, all right, like I'm the only person that looks like me, especially in baseball. Is there a ceiling? Are there going to be opportunities for me? And I've always just stayed focused on, the job at hand. And, if I do well and work hard and, have a great attitude, things will present themselves and opportunities will present themselves. But I want to make sure people know that there's opportunities. Like for me, another passion, I have 3 daughters. So women working in sports and having women figures that they can look up to, and they come to baseball games all the time. Like I want them to know that these are opportunities that are available for them too, should they, want to get into sports, which is, primarily a male dominated industry. Those are things that just from a personal standpoint that really resonate with me. And I try and be intentional where I can, because your time gets stretched thin with family and sports and business and everything like that, to give back and volunteer in some of those different capacities.
So you wear all the hats in the community. I love that you talk about always wanting to make sure that you're a mentor to not only the community, but also to your kids. Yeah. Having your daughters I see all your pictures, so I feel like I can just picture all of them in your mini photo shoots. But it's so nice to kind of... having those conversations is a huge start, and I feel like now in recent years there's been more of that. So I think just making sure that value stays alive, not only with you but also with the community. So that's nice. Tell us more about your event for next week.
For opening day?
Yeah, but you also mentioned for the one that you were membership.
Oh, got you.
Just want to make sure that.
Yeah, so the Black Sports Professionals is a little conflict because it is actually on our opening day, so I won't be there. No. But it's really cool. We have an advisory board, so the local sports teams. So you got the Dolphins, the Heat, Inter Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. Probably forgetting some of the Panthers. Like there's different members from each of those different organizations that are on this board. That is cool. And we'll look quarterly to do events. The next one actually in Q2 is we're thinking to do around Juneteenth at a Marlins game, because we play on Juneteenth. But just a chance to, out of the 81 games, a chance to network, get together. And I think as we go, since this is something that it's a program that's been around, but kind of, fizzled out during the pandemic. So we're rebooting it. We're really just building it to what we want to make it to be. So as we onboard more members, what do they want to see out of it? Are there educational things that they want to see? Is it networking? Is it hearing from different, executives across South Florida? We'll kind of see as we go with that. But yeah, the kickoff party will be March 28th. Which I guess conflicts with opening day. Yeah, I'll be there in spirit.
But that's neat that it's a nationwide organization, so you get to connect with so many people from the different spaces. Yep. Did you open one in your previous home bases, so in Texas? And
there was one in Houston. I wasn't as involved, and I know there's one in Phoenix. But I'm excited to be in a capacity where I'm helping make decisions and getting things started here in South Florida.
That's so nice. Yeah. Okay, so then I know we touched up a little bit on Caroline, but in that aspect, how is the relationship with everyone that works in the Marlins? Is everyone on a name-to-name basis? I know some organizations only really know the people that work in their department or their space. Yep. So how does it go with working with people who are just big influencers in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of I know she just joined the Orange. Well, congratulations to that. And making sure that they're in the right path to want to build a better community for Miami.
Yeah, it's funny. Obviously, they're all very esteemed and accomplished. And I just see them as the people that I have meetings with on a regular basis. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Caroline.
That's my lunch meeting.
Yeah. So yeah, in the organization, yes, everyone knows each other by name. And the thing that's really interesting is like sports teams are a big brand, right? A lot of people resonate around them and like their fandom, and it's generations of fandom. Like you live and die by your team.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the organization, they're actually pretty small. Like we're under 200 employees.
Wow.
So you're kind of more of like a mid-sized type business, maybe small business, depending on how you classify it. So we get to know each other very well. We spend a ton of time together, and
retreats. And
what's that?
A lot of retreats and days of Marlins.
Well, a lot of games. Yeah, we're all pulling
81 home
together.
Games.
Yep, we're all together. But I think that's what I've liked, and a lot of people who've maybe played sports before, like you kind of have that team mentality still, and a lot of ex-athletes find opportunities within sports, so you kind of have that same camaraderie. You're very closely connected to the team you're working for, so the same kind of mantra that they're saying on the field or on the court, you kind of embody that too, and like we all feel part of the team. So when we won the World Series in Houston, like the front office all got rings too, and you felt like you were a part of it because you were helping build on the business side the opportunities that provided us to put the team on the field and then go out and have success.
Oh, I love that inclusivity.
Yeah.
So a lot of the internal aspect in terms of now external, how do you bring in the different community members to be able to partake in different programs? I know we were talking about even to the national anthem, like having, how do you kind of structure that so that you're getting involvement from everyone coming and wanting to be a part of it and being a part of the Miami Marlins? Yeah,
I'll try and keep it high level, not try and get too nerdy in the weeds of what I do every day. But, we kind of look at, what's the landscape. There's the business community, there's schools, there's churches, there's nonprofits, there's different organizations, youth sports. That's a huge one for us. And making sure we have coverage or relationships within each of those kind of core pillars. And, as you start to get connected with others, then they introduce you to other people. So like it just kind of grows and grows and builds over time. And what I've seen in the 4 years since I've been here, before I even got here, the ownership group was very intentional about, rebranding the organization, maybe the sentiment around South Florida, around the Marlins, and like really getting out in the community. So I walked in with a ton of momentum of things we were already doing. And then from a ticket sales perspective or like attendance perspective, it was, all right, there are groups and organizations that have been part of us in the past. How do we bring them back? And how do we go out and find new? Like that's our big focus now is like, who is that next fan that we can go get? The baseball fans, they come. The diehard Marlins fans that have been there since 1993,
season tickets,
they come. Yeah, I've had season tickets since then. There's probably some more we can maybe win back that haven't been out for a few years. But on the group side, like you mentioned, like the national anthem, that's an opportunity where schools, churches, performance groups, like we have a performance of the game every single game. So if you bring a group out, that's an opportunity that you could showcase your school or performance group to do the national anthem and other fan experiences like that too. Cool. Yeah. And what I've been proud to see is like each year, the groups that we've had, they either come back and those different segments continue to grow and grow. So that, along with growing your season ticket member base and attracting new fans, is how we've been able to see growth year over year, 30% attendance increase from 2022 to 2023. And we look to take another step here in 2024. And then combine that with the competitive team that made the playoffs last year, expected to be competitive again this year. Like that's all kind of the perfect storm to see that growth the way you want it to. And if we're intentional about what we're doing, we can capitalize on, the success that the team's having on the field, where that's going to bring just more attention to the team and more fans that want to come out and watch them. And we're set up well to capitalize on that.
That's pretty neat. I feel like I've known the Marlins since the logo was the fish with the teal and the gray and the white. And now it's more of like that Miami Vice aspect. So I feel like it's definitely grown with the team.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, how do you, what are your next projects, or what are your next, I know opening day is coming up, so
Yep.
we have to touch up on that and what that day kind of looks like, or the afternoon.
Mhm.
And what are some things that you would want to share to our audience in regard to what Marlins has coming up?
Yeah. Obviously opening day is the big one. So that's March 28th. We're looking to sell out. So today is what, the 20th? 20th. Yeah. So 8 days from now. So that's the big focus is, everybody now like needs to come out. It's a 4:10 start. A lot of kids are on spring break. So bring the families out. If you got to work, you can cut out work early, maybe do a half day, encourage your employees to come out to the ballpark. Like, you really want to make that, a holiday here in South Florida, but really in the business community. I know that's a lot of people who watch this. That's really our big next focus or project, is how do we continue to ingrain in the business community.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people see, Marlins is fun and exciting, and like you come out with your kids or your friends, and you have hot dogs, drinks, things like that. And that's 100% true, right? But I think that's, from a business perspective, something that I like to highlight that differentiates things that companies can do to grow their business. Like, we have a baseball to business program. We have a new partner, JessWorks, who helps us partner on that program. We had our first event last night for 2024. It was called Sip, Swings, and Scents. Yeah. So we had a mixologist. We had, you could take swings in the batting cage, and then you got to make your own scent. And like in the baseball to business program, there's the event aspect of it, but it's also bringing businesses together here in South Florida, almost like I said, we were talking about like a little mini chamber, right? But tying that around, the platform and love for baseball. And, I've had a number of our members and clients come up and just share testimonials about, hey, we bought tickets from you all, or we rented out a suite, and we've seen, 10, 15x ROI on like our investment. And like, those are stories I want to make sure people know, because yes, it is fun and it's something different than, your traditional outing or something like that, or a family picnic at the park, but like, it's actually driving business results too. And that's something I'm passionate about. Like, business people work hard. Like, they want to impress their boss. Like, they want to make sure that they're growing their business. And like, I want to make sure people know here's an opportunity. I think they know we exist and they could do it, but like, here are the results that are tangible that you can attribute to, bringing people out to games, higher retention of your clients, building a better relationship with people over 3 hours of baseball. That's really the focus. And how do we market and tell that story and get more people involved in the business community with the Marlins?
It's pretty neat, because I attended Fan Fest, and I feel like there was something for everyone. Like, there was a different station for the batting cages, and then going into the fields and into the fundraising aspect, and you kind of see everything kind of just play as a whole. So it's pretty neat that you able to have different events that cater to the different ideas that people have to make it successful, especially in the Miami community.
Yep.
And so how does that now involvement come into your connection to the chamber? How did you get into that, and what does that kind of mean to you in return of bringing in the value from the chamber to the Marlins?
Yeah, the chamber has been great. For me, it's really helped me get out of kind of my comfort zone and meet new people and network. And I think what's been great is like not going in so much like, hey, you should buy Marlins tickets. I think most people probably would want to, right? And try and get their company
Just make sure
to.
You have your pin on every day.
it's a good conversation starter. But like, just really learning about how different businesses work. Like, how do banks run? How do insurance companies run? How do small businesses go about their things? And like, on the business side, for me, it helps me just understand like and get the pulse kind of here in South Florida. It's intimidating coming as an outsider, because it seems like everybody's from here.
Everyone knows
and
each other.
It really makes it a smaller kind of community as you get to know people and understand their backgrounds a little bit, learn what they do for business. So, Chamber South, that's been great for me. I started on the board, I think, in 2021 or 22, and just getting more involved and forcing myself to get more involved through different events that we have, and helping kind of build what our chamber looks like, and marketing that and branding it, and just meeting new people has been great. And hopefully, and it has brought business results for us, but the more just we could continue to elevate our brand as the Marlins out in the community, and we're involved here in this region of Chamber South with the chamber, I think that's a win-win for both.
Perfect. I feel like you've touched up on everything. Marlins community, is there anything that you'd like to share more so that we didn't bring up?
No, I think the biggest one is, yeah, there's an exciting season ahead of us. Opening day, like I said, is March 28th. And we've been very intentional too. I touched on the business side, but like also business people are just regular fans too, regular people too, right? They come out with their kids, they come out with their families. So we have programming all throughout the week, and like each day there's a different theme. So on Mondays in the summer, we have dollar kids tickets. So the parent can buy a ticket for their kid for $1, so they can come out on Mondays in the summer for $1. Tuesdays we have our Taco Tuesdays. Wednesday we have our 4 for $44 offer. Thursdays, select Thursdays, we have happy hours. Friday, that's a new program we're putting together. So we typically start at 6:40. We're moving our Friday start times to 7:10. So allows for people a little bit to get kind of out of the rush of the week from traffic, a little more time to get to the ballpark, and post game for an hour. We're gonna have like a post game party. It'll be themed out, different themes each Friday. So kind of get that, Miami kick off your Friday. Yeah. And so that's Fridays. Saturdays, we typically have our heritage celebrations. So I mean, there's all the communities here, right? There's Cuban, there's Dominican, there's Puerto Rican, you name it. We probably have a heritage celebration for it. So that's on Saturdays. We typically have like a post-game concert that's tied to that theme, and throughout the game, there's different, thematics going on, whether it's the music that you hear or the food that we serve that day. You kind of get that feel that, you're watching a game in those different countries sometimes. So that's Saturdays, and then Sundays are kids' days. So we typically have different kids activations. Kids can run the bases after the game. We have a giveaway that's typically tied to kids. So literally Monday through Sunday, if I go on this day, there's going to be something for me, and you can kind of map out your schedule. Oh, you have to come every day because that touches everybody, I'm sure. Yeah, but I think I want to make sure people know that's a big focus that, Tiago Pinto, as our CMO, has been very intentional about and looking to tell that story and just continue to spread the word that, Monday through Sunday, there's always something going on when you come to a Marlins game.
Wow. I mean, like, there's definitely, the fact that you memorized it all, you're a great VP now. Okay, so I definitely appreciate all the insight. I feel like now I have to go do some more homework and make sure that we're attending.
Come pick what day you want to.
When do the days start? Is it right after opening day that starts?
Yeah. So opening day, we have a 7-game homestand to start. So we typically play like 6-7 games in a row. Then we're on the road for a week, and then vice versa. So Marlins.com to check out the schedule.
Home games then. Are they, do you ever have, I know when the Miami Heat, way long ago, I don't know if it's still happening, they'll have the Heat Road Rally, so you're able to go into the stadium when there's an away game, but watch it like if you were home. Do Marlins have the same concept?
So we have a bar program where we partnered with different restaurants like Flanagan's, Duffy's, and others, where we'll Flanagan's, yeah. We'll look to do like an away game watch party. Okay. So maybe like cool. One a month. And it gets us out in the community. It helps us partner with some of these local brands like Flanagan's. We did a big Flanagan's night last year, looking to do another one here this year. I think that's going to be a big hit because everybody loves Flanagan's. So we'll look to, get out in the community and do some activations, away from the ballpark and meet people in the different areas around South Florida.
Wow. So you're hitting everything. That's so nice then. So then I feel like we've done a lot about the Miami Marlins. So now I want to do a few rapid fire questions to you to make sure we learn more about Andre and more about the personal aspect. So Skittles or M&Ms?
Skittles. And more specifically now, gummy Skittles, because they have those.
I feel like we need like a mini advertisement. So then I know we briefly touched up on this, but follow up to that, how did Skittles become such a core part of your life?
In high school, I always made sure I went to the vending machine in between classes and got a pack of Skittles. I used to do sour Skittles, and then at the time there was like Sprite Remix. So going to my second class, I'd always have that. That's morphed into now more gummy candies. So, Trolley gummy worms, Skittles gummies. My staff, they bought me a pack of Charlie gummy worms for my birthday because all the time when I'm in meetings, I'm just sitting there eating those. So
Skittles.
they know the way to my
Sometimes
heart.
you don't have like a jar of just Skittles in your office.
I have a drawer where all my candy is, so they know when I reach in there, like, going to
your
get a
secret
snack.
drawer.
And my daughters, when they come to my office, my middle daughter, Bianca, she's the one that loves candy too. It's the first place she goes and then tells my wife that daddy's eating candy in the office. So.
So she throws you under the bus.
All the time. They all do.
Okay, so do you prefer land or sea?
Oh, wow. Probably sea. Like, there's something like peaceful about being by the beach or a lake. I grew up in Arizona, so obviously there's no water there.
No,
so you got that. You got beautiful mountains. So I actually went back last month with my wife, and it was just good to be back home, see the mountains and the desert and the landscape. But if I had to pick one of the two, we like being outdoors and hiking and things like that. But I'd probably pick sea and hanging by the beach or a lake or something like that.
Sounds like a good follow-up to my next question. What's your favorite season?
Oh, spring.
Really?
Yeah, my birthday.
You went from hot from Arizona, Texas, and Florida, and you. Wow.
Well, I mean, I never really had winters.
True.
Like,
no,
wherever you live, it's hot
exist.
everywhere I've lived. So at least spring, it's not too hot yet. My birthday is March 4th. My wife's birthday is March 3rd. So that's leading into spring. There's spring training and baseball starting. So spring.
Everyone's birthday in spring? Your daughters too?
My daughter, my oldest Bella, she's in April. But the others are Bianca's in November and Ariana's in January. So they're spread out a little bit.
So November has their own. You have a few paychecks in between.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's Thanksgiving, and there's Christmas, then there's Valentine's Day and birthdays. So summer is my break. Is my budgeting.
Holidays.
Yeah.
If you had to choose a theme song for your life, what would it be?
Or my life, I don't know if this
or even just a current.
I don't know if it ties to my life. I'd really have to think about the lyrics, but the song I love most is "This Is How We Do It" by Montel Jordan. So anytime that comes on, my daughter's like, "Daddy, it's your song." That was like my favorite song as a kid. And that, or maybe like Dr. Dre's "Forgot About Dre" would probably be my walk-up song. So
that's so nice. I feel like we have to showcase that now for opening day coming up, or the next board meeting.
Like, you could play it like when you edit this like video and like play it on like the outro or something like that.
Our theme song.
Yeah.
That's so nice. So what are your social medias? How can people find you? What does that look like so we know where to reach out? Yeah,
typically the easiest is on LinkedIn. I post a lot there. A little bit for people in sports, younger professionals looking to build a career, just sharing just different things that I've learned, but also a lot about the Marlins and what resonates with the business community. So I post a lot there. I'm on Instagram, Andre Luck too. I don't post much. My wife does most of the posting. Not really on Twitter or X. I mean, Facebook I have still, but I don't really check that anymore. So
social media.
Yeah, so I'd say LinkedIn is probably the best way to connect with me.
Perfect. Well, we're excited to thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, this is great.
And we're excited to see everyone on opening day.
March 28th.
Don't forget. What's your line? This is the part where you give me your line.
What? Skip
Don't
it?
skip it.
Yeah, I've got plans, skip it. So that's been a really cool campaign we put together with our marketing team and our manager, Skip Schumacher. It's really blown up across here, South Florida. So yeah, if you got plans on opening day, skip it.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. This is our Chamber South Spotlight, and we had Andre Luck today. He is part of the VP Sales for Miami Marlins, and we'll see you next time on our next show. Stay tuned for the rest of our events for April coming up. We have 4 different events, all between pickleball, networking, luncheons. We're so excited to see everyone, and make sure you have that fitness spirit on.